Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is in the federal seat of Dunkley today, ahead of the by-election in a month's time. It will give a real-world insight into the wider political landscape. Joining me live is Special Counsel for Fitzpatrick and Co, Advisory, Bruce Hawker. How are you, Bruce?
Very well, thanks, Tim.
It's interesting how these by-elections can really peel back the look at the wider things that are happening in federal politics.
Indeed. I mean, it's a chance to have a mini referendum on the government and on the opposition. And Dunkley's an interesting seat. It's been held by both parties over the years. It's out of suburban Melbourne. It's a seat which either party should be very competitive in. And particularly at a time like this when the government's coming out of a period of high inflation and cost of living pressures. However, in the last week, we've seen some real changes in the way in which the economy and the economic outlook is looking. We saw the inflation figures coming in at 4.2%, which was the lowest in more than 2 years for the government. And we've seen the government pretty much wedge the opposition on the question of these tax cuts changes, which were only introduced about a week and a half ago.
They look like they'll get through, don't they? It's going to be almost impossible for Peter Dutton to push back too hard. I know you can go on the backflip, you can go on the political lies, but there's been the odd politician tell the odd porky pie over the course of time. So that's only going to have so much depth to it.
Well, it's a pork pie, and it's one that people punish you for if they don't like it.
Yeah, if you're not going to build that bridge that you said you're going to build.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's one which says we're going to put more money in your back pocket every payday, that's a broken promise that people can live with.
Yeah.
And I think, and will happily live with in the main. This is the problem for Peter Dutton and the opposition. You know, a week ago he was calling for an election. Last night on Channel 9, he was basically saying that he was going to wave through the changes because he can't be seen to be denying or standing in the way of tax cuts for middle and lower income Australians. He's wedged.
Yeah, and you can see that Anthony Albanese, the way that he kick-started the year was obviously not only tangibly, but also from a PR perspective. It's all about cost of living. It's all about economy. You just mentioned inflation lowering to this point, and the RBA probably won't do anything on Tuesday, but as a matter of time. So he's put a couple of dollars on a favourite, and it's paying off for him.
Well, as I've been saying for the last 18 months, provided the economy is starting to pick up well for the government in the lead up to the election, they should be in a good position going in. You know, the Voice and other issues have been very serious distractions for them and have caused them not to be seen to be not focused on the economy. Now they are, and this big bold move that they made a week and a bit ago by changing their tax arrangements to favour lower and middle income Australians was gutsy, and I think it's a gamble that's paying off.
Yeah, and people don't shed tears often for the top tier of income earners, do they?
No.
They don't do it.
No, exactly. There's an expectation that those people will be able to look after themselves. You know, Australians still, as a general proposition, believe that we're a nation that looks out for people who are struggling to keep up or who are real hard toilers out there in that middle income bracket, working hard, 9 to 5 and more every day and bringing home a pay packet. They're the people that we respect and we want to see do better.
I think a lot of Australians look at the world today and they think, thank God we live in Australia. Let's look at the United States because the political situation, it is a melodrama. I read a piece this morning. Half of it said that Joe Biden was ahead in the polls. The other half said that Trump was.
It's a mess. I mean, what you've got are two unpopular candidates for the presidency, effectively. The worst thing that could happen to the Democrats right now is if Trump ceased to be the candidate, ironically, because Haley would probably beat Biden because she's young and is not Donald Trump. And there's a big section of the electorate amongst Republican voters as well who just won't vote for Trump. But there are people on the other side of the ledger in the last election who may vote for him this time. So we're seeing all these different factors playing into it. It's what makes American politics so fascinating, because they don't have compulsory elections, voting in elections. You have to find that group that's going to come over to you and vote for you. And you're always agitating your base to make sure that they come out on election day.
Do you think that story about Michelle Obama possibly replacing Joe Biden is just a good headline?
I think it's a bit of wishful thinking on the part of a lot of people. I mean, I've heard that Michelle Obama was ruling out that as an option, years ago. But of course, if there was an unexpected and dramatic change in the president's health or his prospects, then someone like Michelle Obama would be a really interesting candidate for the presidency.
And that's not out of the world of possibility, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. But of course, it is a nation which is highly divided, as we know, and of course her husband, when he was the president, was successful. He won 2 terms, but immediately after his presidency, there was that backlash, which in large part, or in some part, was due to the fact that a black man had been president. You talk to black voters in the United States, as I did after the 2016 election, and they said, we knew that when Obama was elected, there would be a backlash at some point from sections of the white community that didn't want to see this man or a black man be president. So you'll see that if Michelle Obama was the president, presidential candidate, you'd see some of that as well.